Broadcasting live from the command center located in Jacksonville, Florida, this is Military Witnesses to UAP. I am your host, Shannon Scott. And backed by popular demand, located deep in the Missouri woods, my right-hand man, Rob Heatherly. We both have assumed the duties and responsibilities of continuing the conversation. So, buckle up, hold my beer, hang on, and let's get started with today's briefings. Now, Rob, can you hear me now? How you doing, Rob?
Right here.
All right, now I got to get my screen fixed. So, thank you, man, for fixing me up with another banner here. That's awesome. Thank you very much, sir. And all right, let me get us queued up in there and take this down for a second. Stand by.
Yeah, there we are.
There we are. There we are.
I recognize those guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I let everybody know ahead of time because this is like a normal show. I mean, there's really nothing to put out. There's nothing in the news, is there, Rob?
Nothing pressing other than the photograph from last week that we're going to talk about that was out that everybody under the sun's heard of now, but it's something we'd like to talk about just to give our take on it and the audience of what they think and what their thoughts are.
Yeah. Exactly. That was sarcasm, folks, in case you haven't recognized it. The older you get, the more sarcastic you become. I've experienced. Not only do we have that in the news, James Fox, I don't know if you guys know it. I wouldn't have known it if it wasn't for Rob, but James Fox is definitely in the news right now. If he's not, we're pushing him to the top. Okay. And then the other thing that we're not even covering tonight, and it's one of those that's kind of slipped through the cracks, but we really need to talk about this man right up here, Dr. Gary Nolan. He was interviewed by Tucker Carlson, I believe, on Fox. I believe it was it wasn't on the air. It was like, wasn't it like web content? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Was the interview of Tucker Carlson and Dr. Gary Nolan web content, or was that actually on Fox?
That's mainstream news. I think we can use. We can clear it with the UFO man, but I do believe that's fair game.
Very good. We're not covering him tonight, folks. I wish we were, but then again, that we've got some new news that we just have to cover, and I apologize that I haven't been on air for a few. It's because I haven't been feeling great. Every time weather comes through, I'm very sensitive to barometric pressure, and as soon as it rains, I start feeling better. So rain's past, I'm feeling better. Also, we have sponsors, folks. Our first sponsors, of course, we've got UFO Expo. It's going to be at Palm Coast, Florida. Go to ufoexpo.com and get your tickets. I did. And make sure you get your room reserved before they're all gone, because I did. All right. So we also have a sponsor. If any of you guys are like 50 years of age or older and you're a Floridian, or maybe you're from South Georgia originally, you may remember an amusement park that opened up in the 60s and it closed in 1984 called Six Gun Territory. It was right across from Silver Springs in Ocala. And I do remember going there as a kid, and when they had those gunfights, I would want my mom and dad. I wanted to be picked up off the ground. I was only like 5 years old when we were going. And well, long story short, even though that park has been closed since '84, there's been these reunions that happen several times a year, and they occur at Kirby Family Farm, and I forgot where they're from. They're going to be west of Ocala, Gainesville area. Let me bring up their little thing here. Here it is, 6 gun territory Wildwood. So, long story short, Kirby Family Farm has acquired, I think, 4 out of the 5 trains, which is amazing. I've done documentaries. Those are some of my first documentaries I've ever made. The other thing is that they have the original gunfighters. There's a lot of them are still around, and they still have the shootouts and stuff like that. And the can dancers, we still have the originals. However, they call themselves the can'ts because you ain't gonna, they ain't going out there and dancing like that. No, no breaking of hips around there. So just kidding. But we have can dancers. We have train robberies, and we have shows out in the woods, and it is an all around great experience. So let me see if I can find. Is this it? You can, if you're on Facebook, you can go to 6 Gun Territory Official. There, you will see a lot of my videos and photos that I do. I'm a volunteer photographer, videographer. I've also designed a lot of their merchandise. So that is cool. Let's see what else I got down here. Well, that's going to be it for sponsoring them. But real quick, you need to go. I thought I had it here, but I'm not going to look for it. Kirby. Let me make sure I get this right. Stand by, folks. It is right. Of course not. Photoshop. Well, I have been photoshopping my butt off today, and of course I can't find it. KirbyFarm.com. That's it. KirbyFarm.com for your tickets. If you go through them on the website, it's cheaper apparently. So great time, folks. All right, on to our business of the day. So, what would you like to cover first? The James Fox, which I think it's huge. That's
jump in wherever you've got it lined up, man.
Let's jump to James Fox because I'm blown away. I got a text message from some dude named Rob Heatherly who told me where I watched it, and I went, "What?" I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like,
what in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Yeah, so here's we'll go over this video that came out. Someone took a video of their monitor or their TV because this isn't something local. This is somewhere maybe in Australia, somewhere, you know how they speak funny over there. Yeah, it's one of those places.
Yeah,
but
unlike us, don't have an accent.
Yeah. Hi, Mikey. Thank you very much, buddy. Yeah, how many teenage sons y'all got to come bring you water when you need it without even asking? He's such a good kid. Yeah. Oh, you did? Well, thank you, Mama. All right. So let's get to the first clip, folks.
And we uncovered testimony, and I'm sorry that I didn't get a copy of the film to you prior to this interview. We uncovered testimony that's never been seen or heard on this case.
That's James Fox, folks. And if you haven't seen Phenomenon, go watch it. I don't know where you can get it. I purchased that video, that movie documentary when it came out, and I must have watched it 4 times or more. It is definitely awesome. Also, I believe in that toward the end of that documentary, they're going over exactly what he's focusing on during this documentary, which is shocking. Stand by.
Of people that came in direct contact of a live creature, unknown creature, in broad daylight.
Did y'all catch that? Let's go over that one more time.
Of people that came in direct contact of a live creature, unknown creature, in broad daylight.
I tell you what, if James Fox says it, I'd put money on it, because if he put some crap out there and it turned out to be a puppet, yeah, he's not going to do that. I do have a picture here. This is a drawing of what they saw. Now, here's me putting the pieces together, folks, and I may have to just do this tomorrow and show it to you. Remember the video I put out a couple of days ago? Probably a week by now. I don't know. Don't keep up with the days. I did a video, and I was comparing old video to new video to what this lady saw in Australia compared to some recent witness description, testimony. And I was just comparing. I like putting pieces together, because this isn't the grays or the typical aliens that we know. Let's take a look at the duty. I mean, this is not really a gray. First of all, what tipped me off, he's not gray. He's a brown, right? And his eyes are red. Now, if y'all remember the testimony of that Australian lady that was talking about their eyes glowed red, and they look just like that too. So I really need to probably get those videos together and compare it and show everybody. But yes, well, let's carry on with what old boy's got to say.
People that allegedly drove the creature around in an official capacity for the Brazilian military, doctors that took autopsies and x-rays of the creature, all on camera, all testifying as to what their first-hand experiences were with this case. And I promise you, as sensational as the trailer might come across, moment of contact, it delivers.
There's a lot to unpack here, folks. One, apparently I didn't know this, but the creature did pass away. I didn't know that before, Rob. I don't know if you knew that either. So you can't do an autopsy on a living creature. That's just that's a big biopsy, right? So
yeah, that's called torture.
They're not going to do that. So apparently that happened. The other thing is, if I remember right, it was a police officer that drove this thing. He picked up, put it in the police car, if I remember right. He took him to the hospital, right? This is just like the movie E.T. or what there was a movie that came out not too long ago about driving this E.T. He was a CGI guy, and he would eat birds. I don't know if anybody remember that. Put it in the chat if anybody remembers that. And it was a comedy. Just like that, this dude was driving a freaking alien around South America in his patrol car, right? So he also said James Fox was talking about the sensational part of it, and if it's sensational as it is, oh, trust me, it gets better. As he said, he did come out with a trailer, and if you haven't, check this out.
In 1996, the people of Varginha, Brazil, witnessed a UFO event that would change their lives forever.
Só que ele planeava ia perdendo lentamente a altitude e ia caminhando.
Call it another Roswell, if you will. It is a crashed vehicle that had beings on board.
Mas que eles não poderiam admitir a verdade, a população ia entrar em colapso.
Nada temos a esconder.
Finally, the facts will be revealed.
The Varginha case is considered the most well-kept secret in the military circles of Brazil.
My objective here is to put some clarity on what took place in Varginha, Brazil, January 1996.
2 seres extraterrestres foram capturados, depois, posteriormente, foram levados para o hospital.
The witnesses are some of the most compelling testimony I've ever heard.
Meu nome é Carlos de Souza.
Meu nome é Cátia Xavier.
Meu nome é Liliane Silva.
Meu nome é Valquíria Silva.
Em 1996, eu vi uma criatura estranha ali.
Action! A lot of people in this town have a little piece of the puzzle.
Naquele local, eu vi o rastro da criatura, o pé.
Foi onde ele falou que eu vi era uma coisa sobrenatural.
This year,
Mark Elixerez, he had captured this creature with his bare hands.
Você confirma que o seu irmão estava de serviço naquele dia 20?
Confirmo.
After he captured the creature, he developed this infection that wouldn't go away.
Foi pro CTI de manhã, 7 horas da manhã, 15 para o meio-dia, ele veio a óbito.
this can no longer be covered up.
They might shoot us because we're on the property.
This can't be denied.
Bateram na porta e aí falaram para mim.
Ficar quieto, que se qualquer iria sofrer uma punição muito severa.
This was proof.
We pull this off. It'll be the most compelling testimony revealed.
Of contact.
Aqui, ó. Foi aqui.
This is a level of confirmation that only a handful of people on this planet have.
Let's continue, shall we? Got anything you'd like to add so far, Rob?
Nope, let it rip, man.
You will believe this case after you watch this movie. After you know what? Not watch the movie. After you hear the testimony of the people that were there.
I mean, look, it is astonishing. Doesn't cover it, but it's an astonishing story. Like you say, I haven't had a copy of it, so I haven't seen it. I've read about it. Have you got pictures of the creatures?
That's
You're sounding like a man who has.
If I was a betting man, I would say yep. How about you, Red?
Yeah, and I feel horrible for those creatures that have been crashed. Kind of reminds me of the witness we had on our cases, where he was telepathically communicating with the three beings that were trying not to panic and not panic him, but he knew that they were having a sense of urgency, to say the least. But it was the same thing, and actually, now I think of it, with the Trinity explanation that Jacques Vallée talked about with the two young boys when they were telepathically being communicated with by the two, I think, entities in the craft, or maybe three. It almost seems like there's a theme there. They're trying to calm the humans, not let them think, hey, I got this. You know, even if an arm is hanging off or something. It's like, it's casual. We got this. It's all right. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But it's not. But
Well,
it's almost like a reaction to try and calm the people around them.
Yeah. Yeah. I like connecting the dots like that. I lost my spot. Let me see if we've continued here on the right video.
But can't say right now.
Let me answer the question by I'm just trying to not expose our contacts and also tell your audience what I know. Mm-hmm. We have located both photographic and video evidence. Yes.
Okay.
That's heavy stuff there, Rob. That's some of the heaviest stuff I've heard in a long time.
And James Fox has proven his track record of authenticity, of presenting the facts as best as he knows presently. And with any case like this that's ambiguous, the longer time goes on, the more research you do, it's going to change. You know, they always do, because when it's just controversial and so you have to piece it all together, it takes a while to build your vision of what you think is going on. And with each additional new information, sometimes that can change dramatically, but they keep themselves flexible to let the facts do them, the outcome, not trying to consider an outcome and make the facts comport to it. In other words, so I think, he's done an extremely good job of making himself credible and sustaining that. So, working on aerial school and this and others, it just gives a lot of validity to his documentaries, because he's not been, from what I understand, he's not had any, he's not produced snake oil this far, intentionally at least.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've been following him for a long time, and he's never said something that made me question him at all. I think that was so heavy. I think we need to hear it again, and from there, we'll just continue to the next video.
But can't say right now.
Let me answer the question by, I'm just trying to not expose our contacts and also tell your audience what I know. Mm-hmm. We have located both photographic and video evidence, yes.
Okay, well that's a start. I mean, that's going to.
I'm not trying to evade the question or spike. I don't want that to come across the wrong way. But to answer your question, yes, we have.
All right, you've got the material. And is that material, which presumably isn't in the documentary, are you going to release that at some point? Will you be able to?
It's not in the documentary yet.
Hey, James Fox, we're big fans. You want to send us, hook us up with a preview video? Yeah, send us one our way, and we'll review it. We'll give you an honest answer, and no spoilers until the movie comes out. You know how to contact me. All right, so on to the next. I honestly, the way he answered that, Rob, it's not like someone came up to him and go, Mr. Fox, here in this box, I've got a VHS tape, and I got some negatives, and I got some photos. You're just going to have to believe me. You're not going to see what's in the box. I believe he's seen what's inside the box.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't going to go for that trick. Yeah, he comes across as if I was a betting man, he's seen the videos, he's seen the photos, and they're very compelling. And the disclosure everybody's been wanting is not going their way. It's going, it's not the government who's going to let the world know. It's going to be its people.
Yeah, and like what Raz wrote. Raz in the chat wrote for Brazil, so the folks have nothing to lose. They didn't shoot them. Why would the U.S. do the same? I do believe so, because when you see a wounded animal that's afraid and trying to run for cover, like these are doing to the streets, you recognize that they're like any other wounded animal. They'll attack when they're cornered, but if they're trying to escape and get cover, most people will have a conscience to where they, their fear would quickly be overcome when they see the vulnerability of it and want to try and reach out and help it. And a lot of these apparently having some type of telepathic ability to read our minds would know our intent. And, they're not too panicked, maybe help ease the situation where they might actually be helpful towards them. I feel bad for the guy that did come to the hospital and he died the next morning from an infection of it. But that's the unfortunate thing of having a contact like that. And I think part of why, if some of them, I contend that the majority of this is from this planet and they've been here a long time, but I think there are outliers that may have come from someplace else occasionally, and this might be evidence of something of that nature, because they weren't prepared to be in contact with humans. Not that they expected to be knocked out of the ship, but we always hear the Grays and all of them are in a one-piece suit and there's no skin exposed. This is an anomaly. Not, bar the exception.
I think as time goes on, first of all, I like to quote something I said earlier this year, that this is going to be a great year, and it's turning out to be. The stuff that we have, we can't even put it all out in one show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Right now, I see we have 24 folks with us. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button and that bell for notifications. Like today, we gave a big heads up, and I prepped for this show more than I have ever done for any other show. And we're glad to do this free of charge, money back guarantee. All right. I've lost my place again, so hopefully if it's the same video, I'll just go to the next one. Here we go.
Okay, well, that's I mean, that's going to...
I'm not trying to... We have... God, there's so much stuff I'd like to go into, and I just don't want to... I don't want to compromise... I don't want to compromise or jeopardize our efforts, but just...
Plus also, we've got less than 2 minutes, so there's not much we can say.
I don't want your audience to think, what is this guy just dancing around this issue? Just imagine for a moment, yes, we have located the evidence, and we've offered an extremely large cash prize for said evidence, and we're working on it.
Right, so you know where it is, and you're trying to obtain it. How cool is that? That is, speaking to me from the location that you're speaking to me from, that's a hell of a thing to drop on the world. But if you're going to drop something like that on the world, you might as well do it from where you're standing, James. That's astonishing. Look, I mean, I love talking with you. We need to talk longer.
Mr. Fox, please contact me. We'll give you all the time in the world to say everything you want to say. So how'd you like that last clip there, Rob?
I think they're all just
phenomenal.
The guy's really moving up in credibility and knowledge in my book. You just really, I like, what's the other guy's name? The Irish guy that puts out videos, but he has a really hot temper. I
don't know.
He's at the Roswell convention with Lou. Took a picture. Corbell. I really like that guy.
Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah, he also slants toward entertainment, but I think he does try to keep it factual as he understands it.
He's a bright individual.
Yes, he is. And I kind of thought of this for a while. Why is he so hot-tempered? It seems, but I think it's because he's like Lou. He's been attacked so much in the last few years when he's come out with this, trying to get the truth out. By this point in time, anybody would be aggressive to have taken as much flack as they have. So I completely understand it. It's a tough situation.
Yep. If you have a question, everyone, if you have a question, please submit your question in all caps, and it'll be easier for Rob. Rob's blind, so make sure you put them in caps, and he can read it better, and we'll get it on the air. We want to answer everyone's question tonight. All right, let me get back where I need to be, and hopefully this is the right. Probably not. If it's not, I go to the next video.
God, there's so much stuff I'd like to go.
What's the take? All right, since I've only got 45 seconds, what's the takeaway point that people should gather from this?
That a UFO crashed, and that beings were recovered, beings were captured, recovered, and eventually we have compelling testimony flown back to the United States of America. I'm continuing this story as an ongoing, unfolding story, but that I want to find out where ultimately the bodies ended up. We know they're in the United States, and who has the authority to release this evidence.
Well, Rob, what do you think? And the guys in gray and black cannies, I don't know, maybe contracted through Department of Energy. I don't know.
DOE, OSI, or contractors for one of the above.
That maybe, we've seen their work before. Possibly they were part of our case 2 a study of Jonathan Wignet when he was in South America in Peru, and these guys showed up. It's the same team that showed up, and I believe it was in Kentucky with that CSX train hit a unknown object, tore up the two engines and some coal cars. Those guys showed up very quick. This is like a fast react team. They are on scene as lickety split, folks.
QRF, reaction force.
And I could see them getting in their Chinooks and going down there, securing that location. And the guys that we've heard before jumping out with their like chemical, biological, radiological safety suits, jumping out and securing the area, or just like that movie E.T., the guys running around in astronaut outfits, right? So protecting themselves from what that police officer suffered. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. You're not hanging out with a certain creature, just like when the Spanish arrived in the Americas, and the native populations were they were infected with all types of horror,
smallpox, and
everything.
Even when the Spaniards first arrived on the shores, they could, they had their legends that a white man would return someday to be a god and deliver them, and so they didn't freak out seeing white men approaching them. They thought that was the prophecy being fulfilled. But the wooden ships right behind them, they didn't even see those because it was so far out of their world paradigm view. There was not even any preface to that in their mythology or anything, their symbology. They could not accept that into their reality. They didn't see the ship. They think they walked in on water. That's how their mind had to have a cognitive block to cope with what they saw.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of humanity is going to have these issues of a cognitive dissonance, rejecting the truth. No matter what some people are told, unless it affects their daily lives or some form in the flesh or in person, they are never going to believe this, and they're going to keep dismissing it. Even if they try to accept it, they're going to push it to the back of their mind, dissociate from it, and move on with their life and not ever address it again, unless it becomes an issue they have to be forced to recognize.
Yep.
So we have to, and that's perfectly fine. People do not have to accept the truth, but they at least need to not be volatile and go on an activist rampage to try and force others, into believing their beliefs and, using all their influence to try and destroy them if they don't.
Yep. I'll make another prediction. I believe James Fox will be able to provide some type of media to the public, and it will go down in history as the day that the world seen these folks, or whoever they are, will see them in the flesh. The autopsy, it's not like the Roswell alien autopsy that came out years ago, and I believe that came out to be a hoax, but this would be the real thing. So let's go on to the next clip. I hope this is the right clip.
What's the take? All right, since I've only got 45 seconds, what's the takeaway point that people should gather from this?
That a UFO crashed and that beings were recovered, beings were captured, recovered, and eventually we have compelling testimony flown back to the United States of America. I'm continuing this story as an ongoing, unfolding story, but that I want to find out where ultimately the bodies ended up. We know they're in the United States, and who has the authority to release this evidence.
That was so good. I'm glad I kept that one rolling. Here's the next one.
What's the take? All right, since I've only got 45 seconds. What's the...
And again, I tell your audience, I do not expect you to believe this because it's too outside the realm of believable. But I promise you, in my 30-year career, I would not put my own reputation on the line if I didn't sincerely and honestly believe this happened.
Moment of Contact is the name of the documentary. James Fox, who's in New York, you lucky man. Thank you so much. We need to talk about this again. I need to see the documentary. And James Fox, if you can still hear me, have one of those beautiful American breakfasts for me, because I am longing for one of those, you know, with the hash browns and the real orange juice and all the rest of it.
It's great to be an American. Yeah. Hey, James, hook us up, man. Hook us up. All right. So what else is in the news, Rob?
Somebody, a newcomer in the chat, is saying that photo is a reflection with trees and water. Yeah, you can invert it, change it, flip it. I've seen analysis of that where on Twitter they have shown where, yeah, you can stretch it, bend it, and Photoshop it and get it to look something like that if you do that. But when you have the actual people that were there on site walking out there and showing you that there are no puddles, no ponds, no nothing on the highlands to refute that, you know, they're just grasping at straws. You know, Mick West is not qualified to make such observations. And just like when him trying to tell our pilots that are trained to operate, you know, $1 million equipment, and they have, you know, uncountable amounts of hours of training. They can recognize every known airplane from the horizon by its silhouette. They have to be proficient at their job. That's just one of their basic requirements. Mick West is nothing but I feel bad for him, but he has a irrational need to disprove the phenomena is anything but mundane, because as he wrote on his own blog, when he was a young child, he read the stories of abductions and of ghosts and goblins and aliens and the probing, and he was terrified. He was also a Catholic and terrified of going to hell and all that. So when he grew up, he decided to debunk it all and debunked himself out of believing in religion, out of cryptids. There is no supernatural. There's nothing. There's just us, organic life, and at death, that's the end of it all. And that's the end of the story. And he cannot concede one case that could be not human, because then he has to accept all these irrational fears to come back, because he even stated in his own blog that he's even afraid to be alone in his own house today, you know, at any given time, and to take a shower alone and all that. You know, he's got significant trauma, and I do feel bad on that part. I'm not making fun of him for that. I honestly feel bad, and I think he needs some serious counseling, because what's coming down the road, he's not going to be able to debunk. And I find it disingenuous when he also wrote in that same blog where he was trying to debate a Catholic priest and convert him to atheism, because he felt it was silly that he believed in God and wanted to destroy his faith to align with his own faith, which is not have faith. That's not a scientist. That's a cult leader attempting to build his own that would echo his viewpoints and allow him more comfort on the topic. So once I realized the week that he's unteachable, when I read that, there is no convincing Mick West that anything is non-human, period. He's not going to concede it. He has an irrational need to prove everything is mundane, and it's ludicrous that we still try to engage him in debates and things. We need to just be polite, but block him if we have to, and just keep moving forward. I would rather accept the opinions of people like Gary Nolan that have, you know, that are up for Nobel Prize and people like that than a retired, you know, video game programmer.
Right.
You can believe what you want, but when you guys write that in the chat, it's an opinion. It's not, you're writing as a statement of fact when it's not a fact. If you think it's a fact, supply me with a link and I will look at it. but I don't even write things that I am unsure of as statements of fact. I will express my opinion, and if I think that there's validity to it, in fact, I'll supply a link to it, if I need to. But we need to be careful how we use our words so we don't offend people.
Right. So another thing that kind of came up in the news very recently is what's the name I'm looking for? It's the Scotland location.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of where it's at.
Lance, give me a second. I got to look it up. Doop, doop, doop. Let somebody get it in the chat room before I do. Oh, that's not even Google, folks. Let's see. Oh.
Yeah, thanks, George. Quetzalcoatl. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember the name, but.
All right. Let me get the right name of it. Well, love you, buddy. My son has to go to school tomorrow. Yay. My wife has to get up and let my son go to school tomorrow. All right. Sorry for the pause, folks. I just want to make sure I get this right. Calvin. The Calvin photo. Mm-hmm. Calvin's in Scotland, folks. And let me just tell you what I know about it, which isn't much. But I remember when I first got into studying this phenomenon years ago, that it was like the elusive unicorn. You can never catch it. Just we know it exists, but we'll never see it. That photo will never see a light of day. And apparently, these two hikers, they were cooks apparently, and they got in their vehicle and they went somewhere, and they were walking along, and they saw this thing, right? And they took pictures, several pictures. I don't know the amount of pictures. It's more than one. And they did the right thing. They contacted media. Don't contact the American Air Force because they'll lose it and that's stupid. Okay, so they contacted the media. Unfortunately, they were, for whatever reason, they covered it up as well. Nick Pope liked that photo so much that he had one blown up and had it on his wall for 3 years. And then one day, long story short, came into work one day and it was gone. To never see it again. And he's told that story numerous times. That it is his opinion, and now mine as well, that it is one of the best photos of unknown object in the sky. And if it's a kite or a fish and someone can explain it to me, I'm all ears. But to go on with it here, let's see. Of course, my opinion, there's only 2 other photos that is in the same category as this one. One being, bring this up, the McMillanville in 1950. It was the lady who was out there. I guess she was tending to her rabbits, and out in the middle of nowhere, I guess. And she looked up in the sky and saw this flying saucer, if I may be so bold. And she ran inside the house and she said, "Husband, there's something out here you need to take a picture of." Like me, I got a camera as well. And, he ran outside and he took several photos. Let's see if I can come up with one of them. Here it is. This is one out of several photos that he took. If you're not familiar, this is, in my opinion, along with the other two images, some of the best images.
Yeah.
And another reason why it's great is because people who know how to do geometry well, and they will explain it. Since there was 3 different locations this thing was taken and it was moving, they can basically put it 3-dimensional in the air, and basically they can tell you how big it was and everything just by those 3 images. That they do the math. For those who know how to do that kind of math, that magic stuff. Okay, the other image that I believe is in the same category as one of the best is the Rex. I believe it's his last name is Heflin. He took 3 photos. This is the one I like the most, I think. Yep, this one right here. Now, I pointed out to Rob here, and I don't know if anybody else has ever looked at this image and said, there's a little something extra to this image I don't think anybody's ever talked about, and that is exactly what's underneath this craft on the ground. It's as if the craft was not too far off the ground, and it like popped up, and all the air kind of whooshed up a little bit. Am I the only one seeing that, Rob? Do you see that?
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. It looks like, like a little dust devil would do out in the sand. Yeah, out in the Southwest when it's really dry. It sucks up all the dirt off the ground and kind of creates a vortex. It's what it appears. Whatever it is, it's not normal, and it happens to coincide with being underneath whatever's in the air. So they're related.
Right.
What it is anyone's guess.
Right. So, folks, that's not it. That's not it either. Okay, this is the photo that's that I just mentioned. What's the location in Scotland? Shoot. Here I go again. Man, I'm
over there.
Calvin. I need to just write it down. Just Calvin. This is the Calvin photo. What happened, folks, is that let me get off of there. Apparently what happened a long time ago, let me see if this is, no, that's something else. What happened a long time ago was, there's a point to this, I'm sure. Hopefully I won't fall asleep here.
The similarity between the different craft?
Yeah.
In different places?
Yes, like I tell folks how it came to be. Now, if I did my homework and I wrote down everything I was learning, I'd be more informative. I don't have the name of the individual who actually did the research and found I think it was the Royal Air Force Public Relations Officer during that time. That individual had a copy of that original photo that he kept. And long story short, this individual who investigated it, and thank God he did, but we'd never see this for a lot of days. In fact, I heard this file is locked up, and it won't be available till 2074 or something. I'll be 104 years old. I don't think I'm going to make it that long. At least we got the image. As soon as we get the high resolution image, I'm going to definitely print one out, and the same dimensions as help me out here, Rob. Nick Pope had it on his wall, and I'll make sure this one doesn't disappear after 3 years. But my understanding is that he asked the guy's like, look, I don't want all this attention, right? So the guy's like, well, I work at this university, or he has his own university he created, and let's take care of it with the trademark, and we'll take care of this for you. And apparently it works, so he has it. And that's a low resolution of it. But when the high resolution comes out, yeah, I'm going to check that out. Okay, so what I did, I took this image here, and then I basically made it to where you can see the clouds a lot better. And this will give you a preliminary idea. So this craft here, I took the craft, just the craft, and then I placed it right on top of that, and that's why that looks like that. So maybe it kind of looked like this in real life. There's a Harrier there, folks, and I'll bring up the Harrier right now. This is the Harrier. It looks like a Harrier because this is the picture they provided, but I flipped it around. So, yeah, that looks like a Harrier, man. What do you think?
I did some research on that. There were some Harriers in the region. They weren't officially in that area in the British Isles, but they were in that hemisphere and latitude, the general vicinity as a crow flies. So they could have been there because, how often do they tell us everything they do? Not too often.
Yep.
Especially when they're running black op type things and don't want anybody to know. Especially when they're chasing UFOs.
Yep. Another thing I remember this individual saying was that for a long time they had to keep this secret because they wanted this image to be analyzed, and that's what we're going to be talking about next, folks. All right, so let me bring up the photographic analysis, and I got pictures here, folks. So as I'm reading along, I won't let you fall asleep. Hopefully you won't fall asleep. Okay. The reviewer is going to be Andrew Robinson. Everybody knows Andrew. He's a senior lecturer in photography at Sheffield Hallam University. I don't know where that's at. I haven't been to college in a while. I don't know where all the colleges are located. I have a feeling that might be overseas. If not, put it in the description, folks, or in the chat room. All right. So
KJ was asking what those. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
They're asking what the objects near the horizon line. What are they? If he's talking about lower, there's a fence line with some brush.
Yep. Like we're going to be going over that. All this stuff here, we're going to be going over it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. All right. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we're trying to keep it PG, so Bob Bergens wants to get naked. Let's do it afterwards, dude.
Yeah, I'm a sailor, and I keep my I try to keep it family oriented.
Yeah, I think he's giving a rendition of his episode of Blue Lagoon, which is an awesome movie, but
yeah, she was definitely Brooke Shields definitely underage, folks, during that filming of that. Yeah.
Well, we can have a special broadcast for discussions of being stranded on deserted islands all day long if you like. But Bob actually does know a lot about the history of ufology and the cases and things. So, please, engage us with what you know or what you think you know, because all we're doing right now is speculating based on what we can go off of. Very little is black and white or concrete. The rest of it, we're open to explore. That's it.
That reminds me of something I had. I mean, this is hard to believe, folks, but I actually talked to Rob like all day long and mostly all night long. We've got we're very passionate about this field, and we do believe in continuing the conversation. Money back guarantee. That's for sure. One of the things Rob and I talked about today is there was a saying that I like that explains, or the way I would like to explain what this phenomenon, the description of it, I would say. So it would be, I know what it's not. Is that correct, Bill? Is that what we talked about? We know what it's not.
Yeah, it's at this stage of the game, the repetitive theme that I keep seeing, like with even Christopher Mellon, is that we can't articulate what it is. It's much easier to alienate to speculate on what it's not at this point. Like with the Hill article that we watched again today, that with the June 25th hearings last year, the 144 cases, 143 that were unsolved best fit the ET hypothesis, hands down. and that was investigated by the Navy, their best, and the cases they collected, and all the resources to bear that were thrown in, including the Tic Tac incident. And that was their arrival, is they got to put in the number 5 other bin because they've exhausted all of the explanations.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. All right. So I'll go ahead and continue here, folks, with this sleep fest. I'm just kidding. Stand by. We're going to try to make this interesting. Let me delete that screenshot. Okay. So the summary of initial draft conclusion, after a detailed analysis of the image. Let me bring up that image for you. Some of you guys are just popping in now. We talking about this one right here. Okay. The image itself and the physical properties of the print. It is my considered opinion that one, the photograph is a color print from an XP1 or XP2 chromogenic black and white C41 film printed on standard Kodak color negative paper of the early 80s or early 90s. So that's black and white. What I can do, once I get the high res image of this thing, is not only make it look nicer, but actually colorize it. I'll get the clouds looking the way it's supposed to be. The trees and the shrubs and everything, I can put a little green tint to it to make it look like the real thing. All right. It is likely that the image was taken on a SLR. An SLR is single lens reflective or refracted of a 50 millimeter to a 80 millimeter or 110 millimeter prime lens, or a mid-range zoom lens, or a compact point and shoot camera with a 35 to 70 millimeter or standard zoom lens. I got something I got to add here, folks. I think that since this photo is getting the publicity, I wouldn't be shocked that the 2 individuals that are responsible for these photos to be taken, and this one that we are now sharing, they may come forth, right? I mean, a long time has passed. They could be in a position where they don't care what people think anymore, and hey, that was me, and maybe give a little bit of backstory on everything here. Did they see somebody on the ground with a string and flying this big ass kite? No. Yeah. The image shows no evidence of negative or print-based manipulation, and all visible signs suggest that it is a genuine photograph of the scene before the camera. So could this be, could this thing right here, could it be hanging from a string or something? I don't know. I'll have to, once I get the high resolution, I can manipulate it and try to get the most out of it. And if I see a string here, I'm going to record it.
At the top, from my, I live in the forest, so I see this all the time. That's a tree up close hanging down, and whatever that is in the center is far off in the background. It doesn't have to be far off, but it's past the fence line, and the tree branch up above is the closest image in the photograph.
Right. And the way I'd like to describe this is fun. When just next time any of you guys go fishing and you catch a fish about this big, right? What you do is have the person who's taking a picture of you holding the fish, you put barely your fingers underneath it just to hold it just right. And then the camera guy steps back a little bit, and then you extend your arms all the way out. So when he takes the picture, the fish looks huge, right? So, or what I've done, I can Photoshop where people have hold little fish, and I was, this is a fish, no, this is a fish tail. And people always seem to like my Photoshop of their fishing trips. So, what else is in this summary? Let's go back to the photo. Bam. It is not possible to identify the object in the center of the frame. However, the evidence suggests that the object was in front of the camera in the position shown when the photograph was captured. Thus, it follows that this is either a genuine unidentified flying object in the sky, or that any construction or manipulation used to create this effect occurred in front of the camera and not in the capturing of the scene or film, nor in the subsequent processing and printing of the image. In other words, this isn't 1990s Photoshop, folks. The result of the analysis are considered with, or should I say consistent with, and supports the claimed heritage of the print. I had a lot going on.
The paper, the ink, the envelope, it's all consistent, which is important.
Chain of custody. Yep.
Yeah, one of the guys that was involved in the original collection of evidence possessed it. So, how much? It's highly credible. Can we prove it 100%? No. Very little things on this overall topic at all. Can we verify 100%? That's just a given in this field. We have to assign probabilities. Very little we've found in this journey is actually impossible. So we have to try and ascertain what's probable then from that point moving forward, and that can be hugely dynamic as new information gets brought to light.
Yep. So here's the introduction. This analysis based on a detailed review and analysis, of original materials comprising of the original photograph print, card envelope in which the print has been stored, and photocopies of print contained within the envelope. In addition, a number of digital, no one wants to look at me. Let's look at the actual photo here. The number of digital copies and enlargements of the original print has been produced by the reviewer to allow more detailed analysis. These include photographic copies of the entire print and envelope, front and back, detailed macro photographs of key areas of the print, which I'll be showing here shortly, a high-resolution flatbed digital scan of the image and envelope. Digital images were produced of a Nikon D610 using who uses Nikon? Just kidding. Using a 110 millimeter macro Nikkor, resulting in NEF RAW files at full frame resolution. Images were processed in Adobe Lightroom and exported to a 16-bit TIFF with a file size of approximately 138.5 megabytes. And folks, I'm into photography, and that's a large file. No one's going to be complaining about that. There's not enough detail to this. Yeah, you're going to be able to see Leroy looking out a small little window and waving at us with this resolution. I want to continue that. The image that you're looking right now, folks, this image is taken looking slightly upwards with the majority of the frame filled with sky and only a small portion of landscape visible along the lower edge of the frame. Variations in the tonality of the sky allow clouds to be distinguished, and the scene appears to be lit by diffused light from an overcast sky rather than a direct sunlight. Along the left half of the top edge, let me go to that photo, folks, because we got new photo here we get to look at. Let me see if I can find it. Is this it? No, that's not it. Here it is. It's going to be all right. right, it's not that one either. Let's see. I might have not uploaded that one, but it's this image right here, but it's a lot bigger. Let me see if I can upload it real quick. Let me add the photos. Let me send it over to my, here it is. I want to send this over to my MacBook. Nope, that's Shelly. I don't want to send it to my wife. She's in bed. She went night-night. She got to get up early. MacBook Pro, here we go. So, talks amongst yourselves. All right, so exciting day so far. If it was any more exciting, I couldn't handle it. All right, so now I'm going to add that photo. Is this it? Is this it? No, this is it. Stand by. Images, downloads. Here we go. It's way over here. Is this it? Nope. Got to keep going. It's the last one. Here we go. I got it this time, folks. This is what happens when you're on live. Okay, here you go, folks. This is the image we're talking about. All right. Now I'm cooking with grease. Okay, we're going to go back, and I want to continue reading this. Okay, I'll repeat myself. Along the left-hand half of the top edge of the image, two groups of branches, particularly, I'm reading this for the first time, folks. My apologies. I'm kind of tired tonight. Groups of branches partially frame the image. The left-hand group consists of 3 or 4 groupings of branches with an increasingly density of leaves closer to the edge of the image compared with the edges of the branches. All right, here's the second image that came with that. Bam. Okay, the second distinctive groups of branches, which is the ones you're looking at, are located just to the left of the central point along the top edge of the image. These branches are darker in tone and more heavily covered with leaves than those of its left. These branches also enter the image at a steeper incline and appear to be different in kind of the leaves to their left. So these are different. That's a different species, folks, of vegetation is what they're trying to say.
Yeah, they're a different tree type.
Right. All right, we got another one here. Let's see if I got that photo.
And something we all need to not lose sight of. We're looking at different examples that are compelling because it's interesting to discuss. People have an interest in it. And just because we're talking about it doesn't mean that Shannon or I believe it 100% that it's authentic, what we're talking about. We just think that it's possible and it's fun to explore the possibilities of it and pursue, as a community in a civil way to consider what could be there. People at this point either believe that there's a possibility of something beyond humanity that's sentient or not, and it's we shouldn't try to seek to change someone else's opinion that would validate ours. We should be able to believe what we wish and not need someone else's validation from it. If
right.
we think that we're reasonably intelligent minded enough to seek out the answers ourselves and do our own research and draw our own conclusions, then discussions like this should be fun and something interesting to explore with each other, and even debate if it's civil. If it gets hostile and angry, there's no fun in it with anybody. I don't like being on a hostile panel and things. So,
yeah.
I'm not saying it's 100% with anything, other than I do believe that there is sentient life out there beyond us. I do believe there's a God, but I also believe there's aliens, cryptids, and whatever. The evidence lends to all that being true.
Yep. Okay, I just uploaded the photo they're talking about now. So here's that photo. Sorry I didn't have time to crop it because I wanted to go ahead and talk about it some more. Let me get back to where I was. Besides, all that arguing and stuff, it goes against my rule number 1. Do you remember what my rule number 1 is?
No drama.
No drama,
and if you
man.
forget rule number 1, rule number 2 is referred to rule number 1.
Yeah, I can't stand drama, dude. It's just this. I just don't have time for it. I'm too sick to deal with it. All right. So, okay, 1 second, folks. 1 second. I got to get back into where I was. Okay, here we go. At the far left of the lower edge of this image, there is a darker area which appears to be the branches and leaves of a tree, bush, or some kind of plant. I would say it's related to almost like a palm type of tree. But what do I know? The leaves are long, thin, and pointed, and appear quite different to those seen above along the upper left hand edge of the image. Well, no kidding. All right. Along the lower edge of the image can be seen, go ahead and get out of that. Along the lower edge of the image can be seen a fence supporting by 3 posts. Go ahead and bring that one up. Let's see if this is it. I believe it is. Yes, it is. All right. You got 2 thicker posts, possibly wood. Possibly. I wouldn't put money on it. I don't know. And to the left-hand side, a thinner fence support, which appears to have a circular hole in the top through which the uppermost wire of the fence passes. This would appear to be a metal post or separator. Okay. 2 wires pass from post to post to form the fence. The uppermost of the 2 fence wires possibly visibly appears smoother than the lower.
It could be an electric fence at the top strand, and those are either splices the arrows are pointing at, and or fur. If those do have tines on it, like barbed wire, if something runs through the fence, it's going to leave a little fur behind on it, or foliage could get blown through it and get caught sometimes. But that looks, as smooth as it looks more like a splicing to me.
And they go over that as well. 2 dark marks appear where the arrows, folks. They appear along the upper wire just to the left of both the 2 thicker posts. See above what you're looking at. It is not possible to clearly determine what these marks are with any certainty. However, they are likely to be grass or animal fur, wool, or some kind of material which has become attached to the wire fence, or the fence wire. The lower, we're going to be looking at another picture, folks. Let's see if this is it. Yes, it is. The lower of the 2 fence wires has a regular marking along its length, whereby the wire appears slightly thicker at regular intervals. This could indicate that either the wire is barbed, I would say it is, or that this wire forms the uppermost edge of gridded wire fencing, with the marks indicating where slightly thinner vertical wires are attached, which have not registered on the film. I just think those are just barbed areas, and my granddaddy and my granny had a farm, and this is exactly what the fence would look like. They had barbed wire, several strands like this, and they did have electrical one, and the electrical one was always on the top.
Yeah, and electrical is going to be one continuous strand of wire, whereas the barbed wire is going to be a twist strand with the tines in it. So it'll be at least 2, maybe 3 twists of wire to make the one with the barbed wire.
We're going on to another image here, folks. This one right here. Let's see. Behind the fence along the lower edge of the print, a range of hills appear in the front background of this image, and 2/3 of the way along the bottom of the photograph and behind the 3rd fence post, there is a distinctive angular peak on the horizon, which is the highest point visible in the background. That's cool, because I never even noticed that. Just to the right of the left hand thinner face post, and in front of the range of hills on the horizon, there is a slightly lower hill or ridge with what appears to be three groupings of trees, a larger grouping closest to the fence post, followed by a small group of 3 or 4 trees, and finally what appears to be a single tree or possibly a pair of trees. A little further along the ridge, approximately midway between the first and second fence posts, there appears to be a further lone tree on this hill. I got another image, folks. Let's see if it's this one.
I'm seeing, yeah.
No, not that
the
one.
The picture you're putting up is like a long strip across the middle of us.
Yeah. This is the next one. Some way closer to the camera, just visible to the right of the third fence post and to the right of the distinctive hill on the horizon is a irregular dark area at the very lower edge of the print. This would appear to be the tops of the trees in the forest or wooded area in the middle distance. All right. Given that, other than the distant horizon described above, the land behind the fence remains out of view. It would appear that the ground behind the fence falls away, even given
Shannon,
the fact. Yeah.
The picture is one little narrow horizontal channel across our faces.
Yeah, that's it. That is what they provided.
Okay, just make sure.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing things
that
I shouldn't.
No, let's see. All right, so just continue with this. Given that, other than the distant horizon described above and the land behind the fence remains out of view, it would appear that the ground behind the fence falls away. Even given the fact that the image is framed looking slightly upwards to the sky, where the ground is raised behind the fence, it would be visible in the image. In the center of the image appears, let me go to the center of the image, folks. That's this one. Bam. The center of the, yeah. Now we're getting down to the meat and potatoes, huh? The center of the image appears an unidentified object with a squash diamond shape. This object has some slight variation in it, tonality, along with the length, with the dividing line along its length, with the upper surface lighter in tone than its lower surface. Yep. The lighting of this object is consistent with the diffused overcast lighting of the overall scene. And I gotta tell y'all something. So because Nick Pope, I know he was probably bummed out the photo that he had up on the wall. This photo, I don't even know the dimensions. It was big enough that you could see it better, right? And he was totally bummed out when it disappeared for years. It was gone. So when he came and he actually moved to the States, and he had, during one of the TV shows that he was working on, he had the opportunity to work with a graphic designer, and the image that they were able to produce was just about dead on, minus the fence post. And there's like mountains and stuff, and there wasn't no mountains in this, but I mean, the UAP and the jet fighter, dead on. I mean, it looked good. All right, so let me continue here first. Okay, let me get back to this dude right here. Bam. At either end of the object, approximately a fifth of the distance along its length, a lighter area of tone is present, with the left-hand area being both larger and lighter than area visible at right-hand end, just to the right of the center of the object a darker circular area of tone is present. A far right hand extremity of the object, there, where the upper and lower surfaces join, extends to circular nose-like form. I guess it's, yeah, that thing in the far right arrow there. A slight darkening is present just to the right of the top peak of the object. No smoke or fumes are to be seen around the object. You see any those tails? You ever seen those tails on those kites? They look like bows on a string. Yeah, I don't see that on there either.
Yeah, I don't see the string or the kite tail for that. They would have held it stationary, or there was even it doesn't have the billowed shape. If you were holding it with a string stationary, you know, all the wind is pushing against it, so it's going to be bowed in one direction or the other, opposite the person hanging onto it. That ain't it.
Yep.
Just saying.
We're going on to the next image, folks. Bam. That's an airplane. That's a the plane flying below and behind the unidentified object is traveling from right to left and from its position in relation to the landscape behind it. It appears to be flying at a relatively low height. A slight blur suggests that the plane is moving at speed. That's right. Oh, by the way, I did a boom. Oh, I should say this, and then bam. That's what it is, folks. It's a Harrier. That's pretty much spot on. All right. Let's go on. Lens and camera. If you guys want to know about the lens and camera, y'all can read it yourselves. That's boring. Paper type. The back stamp identifies the paper as a Kodak paper. Did I have that on here? Yep. Boom. Right there, folks. You just need to know that the paper was manufactured, obviously, at Kodak. Now we're going over some of the abrasions here. An area of the abrasion in the lower right section of the photograph, and let me bring that up. That would be this one. Bam. Reveals an orange-red layer beneath the image layer, which consistent with color paper. So it's just a little something I can correct with Photoshop. That's all you need to know. Okay.
Abnormality in the processing. I mean, I'm not.
Yep.
Excuse me for eating on the air, but it's mince and I'm eating a little bit of something for nausea.
Well, it's cool with me. It's cool with you. So continue, young man. A small turquoise green spot where the arrow is pointing, folks, is in the upper right section of the print. Appears to be a small unpressed area of the paper. Unprocessed color negative paper has a turquoise green color, possibly resulting from a small piece of dirt or adhesive being attached to the print surface during processing. This would again suggest that the paper type is color rather than tone black or white print. So this may not be a black and white print. It may be a color print. And that's something else I can correct with Photoshop. Conclusion. I think we're done with that. Conclusion. The image is print on resin-coated color photographic paper manufactured by Kodak. Processed between 1972 and the early 90s. The paper type consists with the claim heritage of the print. The print size is 10 by 8. Cool. So that's what the size is. I'm going to print this sucker out. 8 by 10, 10 by 8. So you need to know about that. Conclusion, the print size consistent with the claimed heritage of the print. Yeah. Film must go Let's go down and see if there's anything else good about this. Hey, here's one. Boom, we'll go bring this one up now. The film grain with the image is noticeably, however, not extreme. The film grain is largely determined by the film stock. However, it is also result of the processing chemistry, higher speed, and all you need to know is that it just happens. Okay, folks. So I'm not going to read the rest of that. Chromatic abrasion. Peripheral areas of the print, especially the branches of the trees at the top left and the fence and brushes at the lower left, the right seem to exhibit lateral chromatic abrasion. All you need to know, folks, is this may be, you see how it kind of goes left a little bit, the post? And what happens is that the lens will distort what you're looking at on the edges. And you can correct this through Adobe Lightroom, and it'll, put that where it needs to be, up and down instead of leaning to the left. Though it's just a result of the optics of the camera. Man, I was able to describe that. I deal with that all the time. I'm always correcting my images depending on the lens that I have on it. Okay. In the detail above, green red. Let's see. Okay, the green red fringing can be seen around the fence post with a red yellow fringe to the left and the weaker green blue fringe to the right. I want to see where this is going, folks. This is boring though. This is not seen on the fence post at the center of the lower edge, nor the unidentified object at the center of the image. Given, and we're back to this sucker. Given the image has been taken on the black and white film, which couldn't record any of the chromatic abrasion present in the camera lens, must be chromatic abrasion produced by enlarging lens during the printing of the image. So it was actually caused not by the lens itself, but the processing procedure. I know you guys are just wanting to know this information. All we really care is this sucker. Right here. All right, so I kind of fixed it up, make it look nicer. This is the original. This is what I did so far. And this is with a lower resolution. So like I said, I cannot wait for that high resolution sucker to come out. So that is it on the report by Andrew Robinson, the senior lecturer in photography. I would probably really like to be in his class. I love photography so much I can't stand it. But that's just something I like doing on the side. Now, let me get out of this. That's the reason.
Yeah, it's amazing why a diamond would look the same upside down as it would right side up. Tim?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're saying, dude. Yeah, it's symmetrical. If you flip it upside down, turn right side up, same pattern, but you don't get a fence hanging out of the sky.
One thing I know about this photo, I'm 100% sure, I know what it's not.
Yeah.
I don't.
Not a fish,
it could be.
not a
It could be
mountaintop,
something
from
Britain's. What do they call it? Their Area 51, where we have flights going in and out of there or whatever. It could be a very logical explanation, but I can tell you what it's not. It doesn't look like something we would make. And if that is technology that we have from the by the way, the report was that thing shot straight up, right? It seems like anytime these UAPs, I would say 90% or more, when they leave quickly. You ever notice that?
Yeah, or just
they haul
phase
ass,
out
right?
of the visual spectrum or into another dimension. They don't know where they go.
They blink out. I hear that. I hear they fly away, but most of the time they just
Yeah.
Right.
And
So,
if the Air Force would ever grace us with their data, we'd know what they're doing, whether they're blinking out, disappearing into the ether, so to speak, or just flying so fast that we can't track them. We don't know. And until they want to offer up some of their data, we don't know.
Air Force, are you going to give us any information about the UAP programs that you guys have been doing before, during, and after a Blue Book? That ain't going to happen.
And it does look like the Harrier was banking, kind of like what Raz was saying. If it was circling the craft with it being stationary, the Harrier would be in a banking term. You'd see both wings, some aspect of it.
Yep. All right, folks. One of the cool things that I came up with this evening is, stand by, I like connecting dots. This could be something. This could be nothing. Make sure you put your opinion in the comment section below. And for those who are live with us, in the chat room. And any of I haven't looked at the chat tonight. So far, we've had 453 submissions of chat. And I'm sure if you have any questions, make sure you put them all in caps so Rob can read them. Okay, and we don't want to miss any questions that you guys have. On that note, I need to talk about the connection that I made with don't fall asleep on me, folks. Here it is. Boom. With this photo. Now, is there a UFO case, folks, that describes pretty much what we're looking at? Is it ringing a bell? All right. What if I told you if you took this object, this unknown flying object, and you turned it 90 degrees clockwise? Would it remind you of a certain case then? Like that one, the Cash Landrum UFO incident? Or this photo here? I think, we got a winner, chicken dinner. That's what I was thinking of, Oh, look, we got Chinook helicopters. There they are.
That's an artist rendition. We're not claiming that is an authentic photograph. Just an artist rendition.
Either.
According
In fact,
to the
they're both artists.
taken.
Yeah, they did a good job. Yeah, that whole the other. I've heard it finally mentioned on some other UFO channel. I don't recall which one it was, but what happened? This one right here, the Cash Landrum UFO incident. Do you guys know what the date was that happened? I tell you, it's easy to remember. It was pretty much the same date as the Bentwaters incident, where the United States Air Force was at a British base, and for 3 nights, basically having those sightings and those crazy things. Yeah, there you go. So let me see if I can find that here. I think I win something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Yes, that's correct. All right. So what else is going on, Rob?
Just want to touch a little more on the debunker, Mick West.
All right, hit it.
Go back and look at my Twitter feed of responses and replies. You can find the link that I put in there in several places for Gary Nolan, Deep Prasad, and Eric Weinstein, where I provided the link to Mick West's own blog, where he explains why he is angry at the UFO community because he ranks ufology up there with flat Earth on his. He has an actual on his blog page a graph of from what scale of 1 to 10 10 being the most silliest, and that's his term, of bunk. Ufology and flat Earth rank a 10, the only two that hit a 10. And he feels angry toward the community for lying to him and causing him to be so fearful when he was a child that he feels like it's his crusade to come back and set the record straight, and punish those that have caused him to feel that way, and trying to break others from the stigma. So if you believe in God or aliens or cryptids or fae people, whatever, he's going to help you find your way back out of that and believe in nothing. So if you want to worship at the cult of Mick West, go read his blog. It looks explain all of it and have at it with the Kool-Aid, because that poor guy needs some counseling. I really, truly do feel bad for him, but he doesn't need to be trying to push it off on everybody else to join in on his subjective reality. It doesn't fit the objective realities that the rest of the people reside in. Well, most of us, anyway. But yeah.
So I've asked this question before. I'll ask it again. Once he is, his debunking has been debunked, and it's time for him to account for his actions or whatever. What's going to happen on that day? Is everybody going to have amnesia that this guy has been debunking this crap that's basically true now?
I think the guy's going to go radio silent. I really hope, for his sake, that he's prepared to deal with that, because it seems to me he's got a lot of, obviously, repressed anger and fear. Like he said in his own blog, that he's afraid to be in a house alone. He's afraid to take showers by himself. That level of fear exhibits PTSD that is not adequately dealt with, that you get through therapy. I've got PTSD, but I recognize that for what it's worth. I got the counseling and I do the work to make sure I keep it under control, and that I have a healthy frame of mind. When you're that fearful, it tells me that you're not managing it, and you haven't, gotten therapy for it. So I think people like him are setting themselves up for a very dangerous position to, if they have to finally accept that it's a reality, all that fear comes rushing back that he's suppressed. And he may have a cognitive dissonance to where no matter what evidence you show him, unless it's live and in his face, he will never accept the reality of it.
So, in other words, is he painting himself into a corner?
Yeah. I mean, he retired. I think his net worth is in the millions, so he doesn't do this for the money. He's doing it because he feels like he's trying to debunk the community as a whole, because he's angry at it for spreading bunk, and he wants to try and put that out. So it's not that he's going to accept any evidence or reasonable arguments to the contrary. He's after one thing, to try and prove his position, and that's it. He will not concede. If you give him facts, it's not going to matter. You're wasting your time. And I do not know, given that knowledge of him, why people still try to engage him at this point. It's not even healthy for either side. It's not healthy for him. It's not healthy for those trying to engage him, because you're beating your head and trying to have a logical conversation with an illogical person, and he's not being logical. And once we realize that with somebody, it's time to back out politely and not keep adding to their pathology and try and convert them over to sanity when they're not going to make it. We're not therapists. It's not our job. But I just truly do hope, if he does hit that tipping point at some point, that he gets the help he needs, because I don't want to see anything bad happen to him at all. I feel bad for him. I know what fear's like, and I know that's what's motivating him, but he's taking it out on the rest of the community, and that ain't cool.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed is they'll make a claim that it is this. However, I noticed they never provide any PowerPoint presentation, kind of like how I just read the description of the analysis of this photo. It's basically he'll just blurt something out without providing any information to back up his claim.
A welder with goggles, a puppet show.
Yeah, that's the newest one, isn't it?
Yeah. Or, you know, this one was an inverted picture of a fish in a pond. You know, we've got to look at the most reasonable and logical explanations. No, that's a fallacy. It doesn't have to be reasonable and logical. If you're going to form a hypothesis as a starting point for some scientific pursuit, then yes, you got to start with what's most reasonable with Occam's razor. But we're not dealing with a demographic that you can use Occam's razor at all. That's like Gary Nolan said about his talking with Jacques Vallée when he was first being educated on this topic. You can feel you're 100% correct, but you can still be 100% wrong, and it only takes one outlier that is contrary to your hypothesis to make the whole thing collapse. So be careful how you frame an argument and how you pursue it, and not try to form an opinion until you have something that is verifiable as fact. Because he's very careful anymore to not state anything as a fact, you know, a statement of fact, because he doesn't know yet. What he does know with a reasonable certainty, just like others that have been in that position with him on that level of knowledge, is that most likely we're not dealing with human technologies, and whatever else that comes with, we have to be open to, because that's the best explanation we've got with the sensory data and investigations that we have access to and that they have access to.
Yep. Well said, Rob. Is there any movement that I can report about the charity?
I have talked to a person that has a very close friend that runs a charity for a living. It's called Boots to Books. I'm reaching out to the guy. We talked to Wounded Warrior Project last week more. I talked to a very, very kind lady at Pinups for Vets. They are on board with this and looking forward to working with us, and offered some information on how to set up a web page and what modalities to use for that possibly. I was going to look into PayPal, but my friend recommended I wait until I talk to his friend that uses Stripes. This is the web service, and they have a different pay program through that. So I'm waiting to hear back from that guy so we can keep moving forward on it. So we do have forward momentum. It's still in the works.
Awesome. For the charity that we're talking about, if you don't know about it, I was very honored that Rob Heatherly and Lou Elizondo named our charity after me. It's called Shannon Scott's Annual Vets and Vets for Wounded Vets and Pets. And I'm very happy to announce that so far we have raised $169. If you would like to donate, the link is in the description. And if you can donate, it'd be very appreciated if you do.
Or even just spread the word if you can't, or feel like you're able to contribute. That in itself has helped pass it on. And it also benefits the St. Francis No-Kill Animal Shelter that Lou has had a lot of positive interactions with up in, I think, is it Buffalo, Wyoming?
Wyoming, yep. And Pin Up for Vets. I couldn't get a hold of a great vector graphic over there, so I made my own. I basically took a photo of theirs and was able to make a vector graphic and make it my own. So when I placed that image onto the rest of the vector graphic with all the different logos of the charities that are involved, it'll look nice. So yeah, we got that going. What else? Let's see. What else is going on? That is it. Hey, I do, for those who know me already, and I love photography. So I got just maybe 5 quick photos to show you. I took these photos while I was at Sanford at Sanford International Airport, which is, I believe it's just east of Orlando. The Thunderbirds were there, and these are just a few images that I took. I should start actually with this one, and then this one, and then that one didn't come out so great compared to that one. And then that's the last one. So I have 1.25 terabytes of images that I am editing right now. At one point I had over 2 terabytes, and a lot of them were duplicates. So I'll be editing the rest of my days on this earth. So what else can we talk about? Because we got a whole 15 minutes. We got to fill it in with something, Rob. Let's see. If not, we'll just say goodnight. Any questions in the chat?
But somebody made another comment about Midwest. You know, you can't have a logical conversation with an illogical person. And you know, it's like somebody's got a mental illness. If they're not hurting someone else or attacking them, you know, you got to recognize their pathology. But I'm not trying to make excuses for them. I'm just saying, when you realize that somebody isn't rational and they're not harming somebody intentionally, well, whether they're doing it intentionally or not, if they're not harming another person, it's best to just move on and not inflame the subject, because you have a logical mind. You can choose to walk away and not engage with an illogical mind.
Right.
And that's the best advice, and I'm even taking it myself. There are a few others that I've chosen not to engage with anymore. Once I realized that there's no changing their mind, they're not being rational, I'm not going to waste my time and energy with them.
It's like reasoning with a drunk.
Yeah, yeah. I've started blocking people on Twitter, you know, a lot more lately. If I find that they're like, especially with a new anonymous account with only a few people, and they're coming at me with all kinds of hate and vitriol, or there's somebody that I do, you know, or anybody for that matter, if they're just there to attack people, I just block them. I don't need the negativity bringing me down. You know, when I was before I came into the UFO community about 18 months ago, I had been doing ancient history research with a wonderful team for the last 4 years now, and I still do. We were on our own little backwaters of Twitter and very seldom got engaged, except for a couple of neurotic history professors. That we had our own Nick West that came in occasionally and tried to debunk us. But for the most part, we didn't have the vitriol, the discord. We just kept to our own and had our own little community. We shared our findings and we gave interesting theories. They still do. It's still there. The community's going well, but I don't let my mixture of ufology bleed over into their ancient history conversations, because it brings this baggage into it and they don't want it. They don't need it. So I've had to stay separated and not draw attention to them in the discourse of having to push back on the intentional naysayers and haters on UFO Twitter. You know, I've never seen such a vitriolic group in my life, other than dealing with opposing forces or something. But you know,
yeah, I mean, I've tweeted a couple times in my life, not that many times, but I've always been told that Twitter is a cesspool of just hate. You know,
it is. People go on there. A lot of people go on there looking for a fight. They want to take out their aggressions, and they have sociopathic type behavior. They don't care who they hurt. They think that it's a little gold star. They can force somebody to block them before they block the other person. You know, oh yeah, right. I got another one. You know, they think they're like a flying ace. And they can stamp another block on the side of their Sopwith camel. You know, it's just disgusting. I hate it. But I'm not going to let, you know, evil triumphs when good people do nothing. I am not going to sit back and watch decent people be attacked when I know there's a possibility I can help. I don't stay quiet, but I do pick my battles and choose where I think I can be effective and where it's relevant versus where it's not. And everyone would do well to remember that. pick your battles. We don't have to fight every battle, but fundamentally, on ethics, values, and morals, yeah. But only where it's relevant, and you have to be able to discern between the two. What we can't change, nuisance, beating our heads against the wall.
Right. Oh, we have some breaking news, Rob. Tomorrow, we are interviewing our second guest to the show. And I need to change my headphones out because my headphones just died. Stand by.
Yeah. Can't hear you. Nada. Nothing. Yet.
Okay, how about now?
Yep.
Okay, so breaking news. As I was saying, we are scheduled to interview our second guest of the show. We probably would have had more guests on the show by now, but Lou wanted to be the first guest on the show, so we just put a bunch of people on hold until that happened, and then we've been busy, being sick as well, and so
Yeah.
tomorrow.
So what time tomorrow?
Yeah, it's going to be. I can go ahead and tell it a little bit what's going on. It's going to be.
People are asking.
1:30 p.m. Central Time. So that will be that will be
2:30 Eastern
time. No, that'll be 2:30. Yeah, you're right. You're in Central, right? You're in Central, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be 2:30 Eastern Time. Yep.
Sure.
So I will be there.
Okay.
Yep. We have an individual that Air Force. I'm not sure if he's active duty or retired, but he has one cool what's the word, testimony, or he witnessed a UAP, a UFO, something. He witnessed something. He could probably tell you what it's not again, right? But he had a position that I had many times in the Navy. He worked security on a base, and so did I. So have I. Worked on a couple of bases. Let's see. Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. This is the location. So Eric is his name, and we will interview him, and we will deliver that interview to you guys probably the same time tomorrow. It'll be 9 Eastern Time, 8 Central. No, yeah.
So we're gonna pre-record
7
it.
Mountain and 6 Pacific.
Okay, we're getting people confused. We're gonna pre-record it tomorrow afternoon, early afternoon, but we will air it on a premiere tomorrow night at 8 Central Time. Is what you're saying?
Yep, that's what we're going to do. It's not going to be live. I like to do that, pre-record it, so I can edit out my my dead air. Maybe I didn't say that question right, and I re-asked the question. So I'll just, I'm good at making videos, folks. I'm telling you, I can spit them out quick. I'll edit it up, get it going. So if I had time,
the guy's full name, or just wait until tomorrow night?
Just Eric. All you gotta know, Air Force guy Eric.
With a very compelling story.
Yeah, very compelling story. He may be watching right now. Apparently, he watches the show because he messaged me, and I sent you a copy of what he said, and yeah, that was. I mean, the thing didn't land, and the folks didn't come out and shake his hand, but he had a good story, and that's one thing we like about this channel is the testimony these eyewitnesses, as military witnesses to UAP.
Yep, that's the name.
You know, I've done a lot of interviewing in my days, and
why would that be, Shannon?
What? Why would what?
Why have you done a lot of interviews during your day?
Oh, I was the last gig I had was I was the chief master at arms on the USS Clackman. If you know anything about Sean Cahill, yep, I had the same job as he did. There's only one of us that's independent duty, and mine was on the USS Clackman. It was a frigate. However, I have served on 2 different Aegis cruisers, which he was serving on as the chief master at arms. I've also served on 2 frigates. I served 2 tours on the same aircraft carrier. And I've done a couple of overseas stints, one in Guantanamo, one in Bahrain, and I retired 30, no, not 30. I retired like 13 years ago this year. I went in 33. I went in 33 years ago. So,
Come on!
I know, enough about me. I know. All right. So other than that, folks, we have, hope y'all like the intro. I did. Did you like the intro, Rob? That was pretty good, right? Yeah, with a banjo. I was going to do dueling banjo. That's West Virginia music. That's different than where you're from. Other than that, let's see. Let me get things set up here. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We have about 2 minutes left, maybe 3 minutes left. And I just wanted to, of course, echo what I said earlier about subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so. We're like 180 views away or subscribes away from hitting that 1,000 subscriber mark. So we can monetize this channel and 100% of the proceeds, including the super chats and those super stickers and all that great stuff, will go toward Shannon Scott's annual Vets and Vets for Wounded Vets and Pets charity. So subscribe, hit that notification button, hit that like button, and let me see if I can
being here, everybody. Greatly appreciate each and every one of you.
Yep. Let me see if I missed anything else. Stand by. Let's see. I'm going to go over the chat real quick. I got a minute here. Okay. If you see anything in the chat, Rob, scream at me.
All right. Nope.
Okay. I am missing a clip on here. So give me a second. I got to put the new finishing clip on here. What did I delete? I must have deleted it.
You can do it.
Oh man, I deleted it.
You need me to send it back to you?
No, I tell you what, I have it.
Send my text.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, send it back to me. I gotta finish with the new
Stand by.
Okay, stand by, folks. This is what happens when you go live. I got it, Rob.
You got it?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to send that to my MacBook Pro, and of course, it's going to take a second to upload it onto this StreamYard. Okay, so I'm receiving it. Okay, I got it. So let me go into my downloads.
I think Kevin Day testifying. I haven't seen any date for when hearings will be next, but I do think it'll be a good thing. But I think they should wait until they get immunity. But we'll see.
Yep. So what Kevin Day? Say that again, Kevin Day going to testify?
Kevin Day announced that he was going to be testifying to Congress soon, relatively soon, I guess within a couple months. But I don't think they've scheduled the hearings yet, and I don't believe he needs immunity to testify what he knows.
He's never said. You know, I wish I could talk about that. I mean, obviously, he's not going to be talking about the systems of the Spy One radar.
All that,
yeah. Let's see all movies here.
Yeah, I think it's excellent. anybody that can come forward and give their testimony, it's relevant. We need it.
Yep, I think I have it finally. Man, I was going through this thing, my video clips, and just deleting all these things I did today, and now it bit me in the butt, and people are like, "Oh man!" And look at there, I'm 18 seconds over 2 hours. But I'll go ahead and say it again. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and I hope this is the right clip, and we're going to finish it here. Any last words, Rob?
Raz, it's not going to take 30 years for immunity. I suspect a lot sooner than later. But just hold your breath and wait, guys, because it's going to happen. So that's all I got to say about that.
Would you like to go over Dr. Gary Nolan's interview? I think that'd be a good one. I can chop up his interview. We can go over that as well if you'd like, Rob.
Yeah, but not tonight, right?
No, I'm tired, dude.
Yeah,
I want to finish my wife's dinner, you know.
Yeah.
So that is it, folks. And forgive me if this is not the right new exiting video, but we'll give it a shot.
I'll take care, all right? Nothing but love for you. Nothing but love for you. You think they have any clue what's about to happen to him?
Oh, not a chance in hell. Good night.